Testing, yes. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Townsville Heat versus Rip City men's game, starting in the next 48 seconds. And after a women's result in the positive, we have Mike St. Moritz joining us. Clearly the winning coach, but if they had have lost, it would have been Timmy Duro's fault.
It would have been on Timmy's head, that one. He took charge tonight. I've just got back from Nationals, 14 days away, and Tim's been guiding the girls around. So he did a great job tonight. A bit of a grind, but got over the line in the second half.
Yeah, and we've just watched both teams warm up and a little bit of spectacular athleticism out there. Both teams dunking and getting all of the juniors that have been here for the state championships this week excited and pumped up, and we're about to start the game. And for Rip, we have Meikle, Hilton, Hurdle, Tueta and Tueta, both starting. For the Heat, we have Wilshire, Froling, Jordair, Jet, Peter Crawford and Justin Baker starting.
Two sets of brothers on this Rip team, is that right?
There must be.
The Tueta brothers and the Meal brothers.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of coaching Izzy Tueta, and a very, very smart and athletic player, and shows because he's had a couple of NBL contracts and quite a dominant player in New Zealand.
So he'd be looking to impress potential NBL suitors here tonight with a good performance against a quality Heat outfit.
Yeah, he's been taking advantage of his opportunities, but as we see now playing, Harry Froling, pass to Peter Crawford, nails the three from the top of the key. Tueta penetrates really aggressively, kicks it across. Meikle, three, Harry Froling with the rebound, he's off, up the floor with it. Harry Froling gets tripped and is looking for the foul, but no love in that situation. Referee's deeming that he'd created his own tripping contact. Rip City clearly not worried by the early pressure, just pass through it.
How did the Rip City men go last night? They were up in cans?
Yeah, to be honest, I couldn't tell you. I haven't done the research, which is poor on my behalf, but you right now see their import take a baseline jumper over Jordair Jet, so Hurdle didn't even hesitate. Scoreline 3-2.
Yeah, the technology seems to be failing me over here too. I was trying to get the live stats up and running, but the laptop has different ideas.
Baker shows a really strong post up and is rewarded. Great to see him get that ball thrown in and goes up for the bucket, makes it, gets an and one. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting game. I definitely think they match it with the guards and Tueta, and that'll be interesting to see how the bigs go as the game goes on.
Listening to Rod and Greg early in the year, Rip City had a great start to the season, but are on a bit of a nosedive at the moment, aren't they? 3 on the trot, I believe they had lost heading into that Cairns game. And again, I think they may have lost it last night. I think Cairns did get the W.
Yeah, Hilton does a great job to shot fake Baker there, gets him off the floor and drives by to get the foul. And sorry to interrupt you there, Mike.
That's all right.
That's going to be 2 shots there for Hilton, and the score line at the moment is 5-2. First shot successful, 5-3.
I know Townsville hosted the state championships for the under-14s, and as I look around the crowd, it looks like everyone's left. I just see old people here now.
No, there's still quite a few kids up in the stands. They were getting into it. So the other thing I was talking about earlier is seeing some of our old greats here, such as Peter Pollock, who was here before the NBL ever even existed. He's that old. He's a fossil of North Queensland, enjoying a beverage or two, works for Basketball Queensland. Looking to isolate Harry Froling down low. Spins, fakes, kicks it out to Baker. No success. Rip coming down with a horn set here. Really nice screen, Tueta to Tueta, reverse, 3 points.
Did a good job of stretching the floor there, some ball movement, and giving up a good shot for a great one.
Peter Crawford for another 3, Baker on the rebound. Good pass to Wilshire. Now we see Townsville in the lead by 1, 7-6. Tueta going back to the horn set. Tueta using one of my Horns dive plays that I used to use with the state team when we coached him. It's a great play. It'll always get players open if you set good screens. Jordan Jet drives hard to the bucket.
Pretty sure I have that one from your Just Soft sharing maybe 8 years ago or so.
Yeah, it's a great set. It, you know, you start with the horns high and you clear out, giving the guard a one-on-one opportunity. And if the screens are great, then you'll have 1 of 2 wing players open.
Here, Peter Walker checks in for, what's that young fella's name? Louis Ilton.
Jordan Jet unsuccessful on the first, a little bit flat for my liking. Harry Froling keeps it alive.
On the boards.
Don't know why he dribbled it. He should have went straight up with it, but Baker does the same thing, keeping it alive. Scores another 2. The score is 9-6.
What a dangerous combination of bigs to have Harry Froling and Justin Baker inside. Harry threw it off the glass and Justin went to go get it.
So are you calling that an assist?
I think he was looking for the dunk. You know,
Okay.
they want to put on a show. They're an entertaining bunch.
And great to see Baker so aggressive early in the game. That's something he hasn't been doing recently, so good to see that tonight. This guy can clearly play. He is not hesitant to put up the shot. He's very confident.
That's Lance Hurdle, is it?
Yes.
Yes, I met him this week. He was one of the assistant coaches for the South Boys team. And obviously he can ball.
Charge there by Harry Froling, putting the shoulder in. That is a clear charge. Needed to spin off that rather than go through the guy's chest.
He was probably expecting them to stand up to that first one and then give him the spin on the next one. But 7 hit the deck hard, sold the foul, and Harry had dropped the shoulder into him, so correct call.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 9-all here early on, 6:38 left in the first quarter. He's quite explosive, isn't he?
Very quick and doesn't hesitate.
Speaking of explosive, Jet to Crawford.
So
Baker again at the hoop.
Jet being explosive, Peter not so explosive, but fumbles the pass to Baker and makes 2.
They'll still give him the assist, I hope.
Absolutely. Good show by Harry Froling. Peter Crawford comes up with a steal.
Some sloppy action there from Rip. Unforced turnover.
Baker's looking to go with it. Peter Crawford will pull the trigger.
I was going to say that's too much space. It looked good from here, but at numbers, they'll take it. Hurdle in the trail. He buries the triple.
Old Justin Baker takes that shot fake again. It's we might have to call him eyebrows. Give him the old eyebrow fake, and he's in the air as he posts up himself. And we have a second charge.
Another one.
Absolutely correct call, and Tueta's wise to it. He's knowing what to do, but our guys have got to wake up to that. You can't go through their chest. I can't argue with those calls. Baker will take a break, and we'll see Matt Rees come in. And we have a scoreline of 11-2 with Rip leading.
Justin Baker seems to be suggesting that he flopped on that one, but it looked like a solid contact. He took it the first one, and the second one hit the deck hard. So
need to correct that score. It's 11-12, Rip leading.
Another impressive big combination here. Now it's Marty Rees and Harry Froling. And they throw it up to Harry in traffic.
Yeah, that was a good heads up, and Harry running the floor well and gets hit by both players, so take your pick on the foul there, and just couldn't gather it to get the shot off, but does enough to be rewarded with 2 shots.
Skill he would have developed from his AFL days. Went up to get that ball in the air.
Some might
Fearless.
say inherited genetics.
I didn't know Jenny played.
Oh, okay. Yes. I could jump, but I just couldn't jump that high.
But if you held the other guy down, you didn't need to jump so high.
Exactly, and that's AFL. You know, climb on their back and you got a chance. Harry makes the first, levels the score. Peter Crawford contests the board, out of bounds.
Rip want to talk it over here. They take the timeout. Scores are 12 apiece with 5:08 left here in the first quarter.
Yeah, and just watching them at the moment, I'm watching Tueta is a very, very experienced guard, and you see him absolutely controlling that team, pushing it down the throat of Wilshire really quickly. I don't think Wilshire's expected it. And if you get head and shoulders past him, he's starting to distribute. For Townsville, they've had a couple of good post feeds. I'd like to see that a bit more, especially with the way Baker was going in there. But even though he's out at the moment, you still have Maddie and Harry in there. And then, of course, defensively, we've got to do a better job as they're getting to the rim too easy.
Sure. I was just using that opportunity to check the game from yesterday. Rip did lose 73-79. Their starters logged some really big minutes there. I'm seeing 37, 33, 36, and 37. So there wasn't much bench support. There was, who came off the bench? One of the Meal brothers came off, and he gave them 27 minutes, but the next closest was 2 minutes. So there'll be some tired bodies in that timeout.
Absolutely, and that's I'm sure what Towns will be playing on, much as it's when it's a reverse. Whatever team gets in second, hopefully they fatigue.
I have to say, too, I'm not sure how it's worked out for the men, but the Northern Nightmares certainly worked out really well for the women. A lot of the really good teams, and the Rip women is a good team. I was glad to see that they played Cairns last night and would be playing us on the back of that. So it certainly worked out well for us. I'm not sure what the men think.
Yeah, especially with a class of a player like Darcy missing, you know, and that certainly does help. But you know what? I always found I loved playing the double headers, and I didn't care whether there was a second game. You just went hard, and sometimes you got your eye in after the first game, and you actually play a good second game.
And it's an opportunity to be with the boys and hang out and spend a weekend away, and you know, the whole camaraderie thing. And I'm not sure what the Rip culture is like, but certainly that could work for some teams as well.
And just watching as Townsville shoot, they're doing a really good job of blocking out. So the coaches talk to the Rip about keeping their bigs off the boards, knowing that they'll have a dominance in that. Townsville will get it out of bounds again.
Oh, there's a pin down. Keegan decides not to take it, gives it to Harry. He throws a shot fake back to Keegan. Short corner jumper is good.
I would have liked to see him take the first shot, you know, hesitate, but we count that, and that's 14-12 to the Heat.
It's good for the Heat boys to get some contributions off the bench scoring-wise. We know they rely a lot on this star-studded starting group to provide some buckets, but it's good to have that kind of contribution. As Lance Hurdle answers with a short corner, but a contested short corner jumper falling away from the basket.
Yeah, that's tough. Townsville had rotations everywhere to cover that, and he hit that fadeaway shot. I like this guy's game.
Is he in the NBL? Has he been playing NBL, this Lance Hurdle?
Not that I know or recall. Marty keeps that thing alive, which is fantastic. Expect Wilshire to try and get to the bucket here.
Well, Wilshire keeps the dribble alive. To Keegan, shoot hope in the corner. Three's no good. Oh, tip in for Matty Rees, though.
Yeah. Great boards by the bigs. Great boards by the bigs.
And we'd assume that weight of, you know, those big guys inside would continue to trouble this tired Rip team. A combination of Rees, Froling, and Baker. And Jackson Todd, who's another energy big who comes off the bench for them.
Matty Rees did a really good job defensively, then staying in front of Tueta.
Harry Froling with the trail. 3 is no good. Another aboard. They throw it to Marty this time again. He can't find space. Kicks it out to Jet. He drives off of 1 foot. Harry finishes with the two-handed flush, though.
Really good pass again by Jordan Jet. Drew everyone, and Harry's sneaking in on that baseline dunk. Score is 18-14 with 3 to go. Here's the horn set again.
Well, they try to slip that Louis Ilton. They turn it over, though. Jet in transition, turns on the Jets, finishes with a layup.
Team's really passing ahead well. This is the sort of game that if they keep doing that, they'll win by plenty.
Well, especially with the fresh legs, if they're willing to kick it ahead, they might find some easy buckets down the other end of the floor. This time it's a 1-on-4. Harry, he's probing, though.
Yeah, Keegan Tudhope now has a job on Hurdle and troubled him on that last shot.
Oh, I don't like that foul.
Yeah.
This is a men's game, a grown man, and you know, his feet were set. He didn't drop the shoulder.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You know, it's I talk about the old days of Pat Reedy. Pat Reedy used to set that screen and then he'd roll into it. Now, if the player doesn't make contact, it's not a foul. But if there is contact, then was he starting to roll in that or not? It's a close one, and yeah, it's a tough call.
Jared Fig checks in for his first minutes here. Oh, little stutter step. Can't finish at the basket, though.
Chueda is very aggressive to the hoop, and good to see Keegan actually pressure him out of that. Nice pass by Harry.
There's no help on that weak side.
No.
And twice they've tried that.
Smart pass there. Big Matty just had to slow it down a bit and go for a nice little shot off the backboard, because as you said, there was no help. That's off White. Oh, no, we'll go the other way.
That's maybe the first time in a while that we have seen Townsville give up an O-board or a second possession there. Perhaps an unlucky one, as it gets tipped out of bounds. Minute 35 left here in the first quarter. Townsville lead 20-14. Here's that matchup you talked about, but he gives up the ball. Hurdle on Rees here. He's going to need some help. He gets by him on the first crossover. Can't convert, though.
And you could bet that Hurdle's heard that Jordan Jets obtained an NBL contract. So if he can perform against him, he's going to want to be, you know, hey,
yeah, it's one of those reputation things, isn't it? You know, if he can get a gig and I can get one up on him, then maybe I can get a gig.
Yeah. Certainly something to play for and should make it a spectacular show.
Is that Tueta that came off that flare screen? Good little action there.
Yeah, very, very solid player.
Shoot hope to Fig. Fig tries to kick it out to Harry, who was lifting, but I think it went off of Matty's shoulder out of bounds as Townsville turn it over.
And we have a score line of 20-16. 30 seconds ago, 2 possessions left in this quarter. And here we see young number 4. I don't know his name. We'll get that in a second.
Whoa, Lance Hurdle.
Yeah.
Another fadeaway. This time an increased level of difficulty over the 7-footer who was all over him. Cuts the lead to 2, and Townsville will hold it for the last shot here. They want to spread the floor, see if Hurdle can contain Jet in this one-on-one. They switch it and switch back, and Jordan dribbles it off his foot out of bounds. And that'll give the Rip the last possession here with an opportunity to tie or go ahead on a 3.
Yeah, they need to get some pressure up here. And the young number 4 is Dane Glover, so it's good to see him get some minutes early.
Oh, another offensive foul. Evening things out, and the Rip coach disagrees with that as well as he marches down the baseline to express his frustration to his manager.
Well, I guess at least they're keeping the charge fouls consistent.
Oh, Harry gets it off. It's
good.
That'll count. They didn't guard the inbounds. They didn't guard Harry. And that's why you practice it, isn't it? You know, that half-court shot on game day, Harry just casually and convincingly banks the 3-pointer in, and that gives Townsville a lead 23-18.
Yeah, you see nearly every training session, there's everyone in, $5 in for a half-court shot, and you know, it is actually a good training tool because you never know when you've got to put that up, and
Well,
he lucked out. And
that's right, and I guess, you know, that's what we talk about valuing every possession and not taking it for granted. Oftentimes you might see a team just inbound it, tuck it underneath the arm and not get the shot up, but good on Harry for his awareness there and finding it in rhythm.
Don't know if he called bank on it though, but it's, there you go. All right, so right now the issue for the Rip City is keeping Townsville off the boards. Definitely starting to see Townsville run the floor a little bit harder, which has resulted in buckets and the score of 23-18.
Well, and Townsville got, you know, 7 offensive rebounds there. Matty Rees, sorry, came off the bench and got 3 of them. Justin Baker's got 3. So the Rip boys are going to have to find some answers for those big bodies to limit Townsville's possession game.
I would think that Rodney will be especially focusing on Hurdle, because Hurdle would have to have at least 8 to 10 of their points, I would suggest.
12 on 5 of 8 shooting. There
you go. So if you can shut him down, that's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier. So whoever's guarding him, you better be in his jock, and if a screen comes, you better be aggressive, pushing that thing away from the bucket.
He looks quick. He looks willing to take, you know, a lot of volume shots. He's shown the ability to hit the fadeaway. He's hit a couple of threes, so it'd be interesting to see what Rod's plan is here to defend him as Josh Wiltshire and Jared Figg look to check into the backcourt for Townsville to start the second quarter.
Yeah, he's going with an all-Australian lineup here. And Wilshire and Figg controlling the point guard duties. Harry Froling and Rees in the paint, and Crawford going wherever he likes.
Just while they look to get set up, this will be Brad Cahn's last gig as an assistant coach here in Townsville. He heads off to take a development gig with Basketball Tasmania. He's been really helpful for a lot of the girls that I've been working with over the last couple of years, so just a thank you to Brad.
I can see this being a set-up play. They've come out of that popping.
Oh, there's Hurdle from the corner. Over Rees, and he buries the triple and talks to the crowd about it too.
That was well set up, and you see Tueta before he even handed in. He was sending him baseline to pop out off a screen. He'd be wide open for that shot. Takes the score to 23-22.
I love that playful player engagement as Harry goes for the flush himself that players that come up here have with our fans. It's all in the spirit of fun, and they seem to certainly enjoy it.
We call it, the old days we called it talking shit, and it is fun to
I was trying to keep it PG.
It is fun. Harry throws a great look at the outlet, but a little too hard for the little fella and Figg. And probably wasn't the best pass in the end, but at least he was
like the old guys would say, a little bit too much mustard on that one.
Yeah, so when we talk about this level QBL, and we talk about sanitizing the game, not allowing the trash talk and the rubbish. I recall years ago going to Southern Districts, and Big Joe was the DJ, and he had the great Rawhide song going, and he had words to it saying, "Rolling, rolling, rolling,
yeah.
Keep those elbows rolling," and it was like, you just live for that, and the whole crowd going against you. So.
And now there's actually rules written into the rule book that suggest the people that are doing the announcement can't do that exact type of stuff. As Rip failed to convert that, they'll say they retained possession though.
Yeah, that's a wrong call, I'm sorry, that definitely came off white. But anyway, as we were talking about, the interaction with the crowd and the home advantage, that thing was gold, and to lose that would be a shame. The only thing I would say is if you are going to do it, you better be able to back it up.
You have to back it up, and so far Lance Hurdle has backed it up.
Yes.
He's done a great job here early on. He's now on 15 points from 9 shots.
You can't leave Harry Froling open at the top of the three like that. If you leave him open, he will shoot it.
He is the prototypical modern stretch big man, isn't he? He's really worked hard on that aspect of his game as he forces the turnover there by bumping the guard out of bounds from the hard show.
Probably very lucky to get away with that. He created heavy contact that put him out of bounds, but the Rip coach will be unhappy with it, but Townsville can breathe a sigh of relief.
I didn't see too much complaint from the Rip fella, so maybe Dad's just being a little bit harsh there.
Peter Crawford driving hard.
Off the bounce. Wiltshire in the corner. Marty Reeds gets taken out. Rod complains, but Wiltshire buries the triple. And the lead is now out to 10, the biggest Townsville lead so far this game. Here's Hurdle on the baseline, probing and exploring on Brendan McCulley, who spent 14 days with the under-16 North boys and is perhaps less than ideal physical conditioning at the moment.
Yeah. Well, you'd think Brendan McCulley is out there for his defense because, you know, he's a defender that hounds the heck out of you. And,
he's an organizer. He's, you know, close to 300 games, I believe, of QBL experience.
And the last thing you want is that head chewing at you and giving you a hard time. But
I think they've adjusted the score here. I'm pretty sure it was showing 31-21.
Yeah, that last one was only a 2.
So that Wiltshire corner 3 that I called was actually a 2 then.
And that's, you know, that's one of the things I talk about referees. The things that drive you crazy with referees is getting the no-brainers. That's just position. Was his foot on the line, wasn't it?
Yeah.
His foot was clearly on the line, and they got it right. So
well, that's good.
The referees have been pretty good tonight, so that's great to see. And
it certainly helps in the men's game where they have 3 referees. I was surprised coming to the under-16 nationals that in the men's game, in particular, that they haven't adapted yet to putting the 3 referees in. The speed of the game these days requires so many eyes on the floor that, to me, that would seem like we want to be skilling up our young referees to be able to organize the game in that way. So.
Yep. No, they've done a good job tonight, so credit where credit is due.
Some experienced heads here. Matty Crowley, who's, I believe, in charge of the refereeing system for Basketball Queensland. Kylie Vovoden, who a long-time referee of certainly the WNBL. I'm not sure if she's had NBL experience, but.
Watching Tueta here, he's talking to his team right now about what they're going to do on defense. And I think he was a key player in just telling them what they're going to do on the offense. As we see them go to a zone, it's a 1-2-2 zone here, trying to junk it up. So Townsville obviously going to have to hit some perimeter shots against this or get it in the paint.
Well, this would feed right into, well, there we go. Peter Crawford bears the triple, but that'll open up some things inside for JB and for Harry Froling if they're going to have those 2 on the baseline. And they're undersized bigs at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see how long they're willing to stay with this 1-2-2. So JB went for the half fake again, left his feet, got beat off the dribble, wasn't happy with himself.
We'll call the score right now at 33-23. And again, with this sort of a zone, there should be a big hole in the middle. And if it goes in there, your perimeter shooters like this should be wide open.
Right on cue, like you drew it up. I reckon you've done this before. I reckon you've coached against this 1-2-2 and know exactly what to do.
If, you know, the 2 bigs should be able to have a field day. Harry Froling lets an easy one through, but Justin Baker gets it.
He's just so big, though, inside, Harry. You know, that little fella, I don't know what his name is, but, you know, he's just, the sunlight disappeared as Harry just contested the shot.
Yeah. So going back to that zone offense, the 2 bigs should have a field day through the middle and on the baseline. And if they collapse at all, you got perimeter shooters. And as Peter and Wiltshire have just shown, nail those shots, you'll get out of that thing quick.
And Townsville have all kinds of lineups that they would want to be able to play against a zone. And it starts with the bigs inside, but, you know, a quality shooter like Peter Crawford or Josh Wiltshire. Oh, another moving screen. Here we go.
Now that one, I'll say, yes, he moved, but it was minimal contact. But they're being consistent.
They are being consistent, but in this modern era of a ball screen offense where there's a little bit of movement, we have to allow our players to be able to play out of that. Yeah. Otherwise, it just stifles the game from these inbound situations where there's so little flow. Maybe that's just a gripe of mine, but Peter Crawford can't convert on the triple there. Oh, some argy-bargy inside. It'll come as no surprise to learn that Harry Froling is involved.
Yeah, the defender definitely locked Harry up, but Harry, having the superior strength, just sent him about 12 feet sideways. And Harry, again, punching in the middle of that zone, kicks it out to the wing, being McCulley, who probably isn't going to shoot that too much.
No, he'll look to organize. He'll look to set someone else up. Yeah. It'll be a kick, and a hockey assist for Harry Froling, but a proper one for Brendan.
It's always a great thing, too, having a big that can pass, because
they collapsed on Harry there on the double. They left PC wide open. Can't convert on the layup, but he gets his own miss.
The offensive boards are killing Rip at the moment, and especially Peter. Peter played that layup soft.
And the evidence of the size difference is just seen as we watch the 2 groups huddle together. Townsville is so much bigger, than the Rip City men here.
See Harry Frolling take a break. I was just saying before, Peter Crawford's layup was a little soft. It might be his age, getting a little older there.
The weight of possession here is certainly in Townsville's favor as they've blown the lead out to 15 as we've been talking. And I know that's not an easy one to overcome. Although I see, is it Emil in chat with his coach, they seem quite confident. I mean, at the QBL level, 15-point lead is nothing.
That fatigue factor will come in as you see Tueta organise the horns again.
They dive the opposite. They leave the trail big wide open. Can't convert though.
Yeah, they're diving the opposite post, popping the screener, pick and pop. And if you've got a good shooter, that's a great play because the defender has to show.
Not familiar enough with 10's game to know whether he's a good shooter. But speaking of good shooters, Josh Wiltshire is one of them. Bears the triple, takes the lead out to 19, 5:32 left here in the second quarter. I haven't seen Hurdle take a shot in a while, and I imagine the Rip men wouldn't be very happy that one of their studs hasn't gotten a look, but they get a look inside, and Keegan Chute-Hope fouls the shooter, and that'll be an N1 situation.
Yeah, very good find in the bigger Tueta in the paint there, and unfortunately Keegan hit him there. Look, Rip City have really got to address the offensive rebounding by Townsville. It's just killing them. But on the same hand, we got to stop the penetration down this end.
Townsville now on 9 O-boards. Rip coach cancels his timeout on the back of those 2 free throws. Here's some weak action on the down screen. They can't find Jet though. He gets into the on ball. Baker slips it inside. There's lots of room. PC's well covered. Oh, and they're going to call him for the offensive foul.
Yeah. Again, I've got no problem with that. Pete should have actually went for the layup there because the guy's in the charge circle. The minute he passes that off, it becomes a charge.
His 38-year-old body met the hardwood hard there, and he comes up limping. And I hope I got his age right. It's around that mark.
It's not quite triple figures, but he's getting close. All right, and looking at this, I reckon there's going to be something coming towards Hurdle right here.
He hasn't had a touch in a while, and Jet's laying off of him, so they play it through the trail again. They lift Hurdle.
Yeah, they've totally ignored him this quarter, especially after that start he had. You know, he's been special, and he's just not getting a touch now.
And it doesn't look like Townsville is actually taking away. Jordair is giving him a lot of a gap. Oh, JB with the flush from Jordair. Great action from the imports.
Yeah. Jordair's been really good with the heads up tonight.
That puts the lead back out to 19. 4:17 left here. Tueta to Hurdle. They finally get him a touch. Oh, Jordair gets out of stance, but contests the shot. Maybe got a piece of it. Hurdle's not complaining, so it looks like it was clean. Oh, technical foul assessed against. Oh,
right,
so perhaps Hurdle was okay with the goal, but the bench wasn't happy about it. And I don't know if it's an assistant or the head coach that got it. He wants to ask a question. Oh, so he's saying that the bench had stood up. Wow. I assume they had been assessed a warning because it seems kind of harsh that, you know, showing some kind of emotion.
The coach has asked what happened, and he said someone down the end of the bench stood up and threw their hands up. So surely we're not going to be that sensitive in the game that people are throwing their hands up. Now,
not. I
would agree with Rip that he might have got hit on the arm. Jordan did a good job to put him off, but it was a small bit of contact. But, geez, tech for hands thrown up.
Maybe a warning would have been sufficient in that scenario. Anyhow, we need to move on. Here's Harry bullying his way to the basket, gets his own miss, gets fouled on it as he's hit in the face.
Yeah, really strong drive there. Missed it with a bit of body contact, 2 or 3 players collapsing around him, but heads up enough to tip that thing up and in.
I see that Eric McAllister is here on the bench for the Rip City men. I had a chance to meet him at Nationals. He was wearing a moon boot, and he looked like a sizable man when I met him. So perhaps they're missing his presence inside.
Especially when you're dealing with the likes of Reese, Froling and Baker. It's certainly an ominous triple of, or trio.
Well, and as we speak of that, Baker's on 11, Froling's on 11, Wilcher's on 11 himself. Matty is only on 2, but 3 boards. So Townsville doing great work on the boards. They're doubling up the Rip City men 28-14. So that's those single possession issues where Hurdle early on was just being able to make star plays. Now not able to do so, and they can't generate a second possession. And that's reflected in the score where Townsville leads 48-25.
Jordan Jet's doing a real job on Hurdle at the moment. As you see, Tueta.
What a kick ahead. One bounce, no dribble. He's fouled that time.
How Jordan Jet does not get a foul there is absolutely beyond me. Your guy goes for a layup, has his legs taken out, and I think it was a sympathy call on Baker because there was less contact on Baker than there was Jet.
I prefer to emphasize what a kick ahead pass from Harry, stepping out of bounds, throwing it 3/4 of the length of the floor on the catch. Jet probably had to put it on the floor because he was being fouled, but
yeah,
what great transition offense.
Great pass. Harry was really heads up there, and again, that's smart by Harry by saying that, hey, maybe they're fatigued. We can get a couple of cheap breakaways.
Yep. You would assume Townsville have talked about it. I mean, I talk about it every time a team comes from Cairns to see us, or if they played Mackay, is this end of the quarter stuff where they're tired. If they're playing short benches is where you're going to have the ability to impact the game the most, where there's poor D-trans or they're looking for opportunities to rest in those scenarios.
And the steamroller's really starting to get some speed up now, and it's 50-27. Rip City want to be a part of this game. They're going to have to do something defensively because 50 with 3.5 to go is too many.
I watched a under 16 game between SA Metro and WEA Metro, where SA Metro came back in the third quarter from 28 down to win the game by 10. So anything is possible. If it's possible at that level, it's possible at this one.
Geez, that was an interesting call. Hurdle was just so quick with the crossovers in his feet. The refs called a travel, and I don't know. I thought that guy was doing some supreme footwork there. Jordan Jet with a step back. No good. Harry Froling, why are you bouncing that? Finishes anyway. Needs not to bounce that on the rebound, but gets away with it.
And their big guy looks hurt actually here. Is that Louis Ilton? Clutching at his knee, using it as an opportunity to maybe get some rest there. But geez, if they lose him, although he looks to be moving okay now, they'll certainly need some kind of presence inside.
Scoreline is 52-27 with 2:40 to go.
I like that foul though. It was great action. There were forced rotations, but Jordan is like, I'm not giving you anything easy. A big hard foul at the basket against a team who's struggling to have an inside presence. Their relative to two guard just put the center on his ass.
Yep. And again, the credit to Izzy Tueta there. His ability to find that guy he's such a classy guard. So yes, it's putting people on their ass works unless you're in the Philippines, of course.
Well, but that was a basketball play. That was a basketball play. There was a swing at the ball.
Better make sure the Townsville crowd isn't getting any chairs or warming up their karate kicks.
Yeah, that's right. And any players we haven't suited up tonight that want to punch somebody in the face?
Unfortunately, you know, talking about that issue, it's not the worst that's happened. There was many years ago, back in '84, an Australian under-20 team went away and the same thing happened, and they tried to leave the game and they were forced back by armed guards saying finish the game.
Wow.
And when they got to their hotel, their Filipino bodyguards were guarding the hotel, and one of their guards was shot and killed.
Jeez.
So that is far worse. And not that that last incident was pretty.
Right.
But yeah, they have a history of being aggressive.
Well, hopefully no one gets shot here tonight as Jordan Jet puts a shot up. Can't convert though. Lance Hurdle has been starved of possession. He's got the ball with 2 minutes left. They trail 29-52. He'll play to the ball screen. Marty contains it well. He's able to rotate back. Another contested shot. A rare offensive rebound for Rip City men there.
Rip are fighting. They're fighting. They're fatigued. But you see Izzy Tueta drive and put the little
great
teardrop.
floater over
teardrop
length.
over, yeah. And the score is 52-31 with 1:30 to go.
Geez, they have a similar build, those Tueta boys. Thank God one is bald and one's got a bun.
Harry Froling reaches back for that wrong pass and rolls it in for a three there.
Oh, they're going to say there's some foul there inside.
Look, again, there's two big guys just wrestling in the paint. There's nothing in that. She didn't have to call that. And I think she was actually looking for it to balance things out a little bit. So,
speaking of balancing out, the fouls this quarter are 5 to Rip, 4 to Townsville, as Townsville leads 55-31. There's 1:21 left here in the second quarter. Got a chance to look around. I see some of our under 14 champion boys, Townsville Heat, who beat the Cairns Marlins today for a chance to compete at Nationals. I'm not sure where they're being held, but congratulations to those boys.
Yeah, great effort and more success for Townsville, which is great to see. White kicks it to Froling, who penetrates and says,
"Oh, he wants to put a show on.
I'm going to try and dunk on you." But not successful on that occasion.
Oh, Jordair splits it. He takes the contact, can't convert, but they had the line shooting too. Speaking of Townsville championships, with the boys winning that one, I believe that's now 4 Townsville championships in the Division I competition for them this year. They locked up the 14 boys. They locked up under 18 girls. They locked up under 16 boys and under 16 girls. So congratulations to the Townsville junior program.
Yeah, we're talking about that earlier with Claudia, and we're talking about the success and longevity of the Townsville program. And we talk about the likes of Peter Pollock in the stands and some of our past heroes, the Mark Braggs who've coached, and it's got to be one of the most successful programs in all of Queensland.
You would think so. For a regional center, you know, a population of less than 200,000 to consistently bat above their weight for such long periods of time is a credit to the likes of yourselves and you know, and Jenny, who stick around and continue to coach the junior kids. It's just a great tradition that, you know, feeds into the next generation of good ballers. So,
well, I come from a great club in Melbourne, Nunawading, and part of their thing was that current players, coaches, and ex-players coach down. And we've got that in this environment, and we've had it for a long time. You know,
yep.
You're looking at the likes of yourself and your wife. You know, Claudia Brassard has no reason to coach juniors. She's a current WNBL coach, but gives back to the community, and you just see it at a whole lot of levels. And a lot of our players give back by getting along to stuff. So you want to be a successful program, get your current players involved in junior development and your past players into it, and you will have success.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I think we all do it because we love the game, and you know, Townsville supports a strong culture of being able to give back and participating in our programs. You and I are here, standing up here, and you know, contributing to a live stream. As Townsville can't get a shot off there, but what a first half as they lead 60-31 against the Rip City men, who have a lot of work to do here to come back against a fresh Townsville side and themselves with some tired legs.
Yeah, Rip City have, for some reason, stopped getting Hurdle the ball. That guy was on fire, and we're talking about putting on a show the second quarter. You probably go, wow, what happened to him? So if I'm Rip City, I'm definitely trying to get him the ball. Tueta is a great team leader for them. they're scared to go into that zone because Townsville shot the hell out of that thing and pumped it inside. So if I was them, I'd look at another zone. The 1-2-2 is going to be very easy for these experienced players. Look at another zone. Have they got the energy to do some full court pressing? They're going to have to change something to come back.
Well, they're going to have to do something to disrupt Townsville, who are currently now shooting 57% from the field, 40% from three, dominating on the all boards. They have 9 turnovers, which is probably a bit high for them, but given the weight of possession that they've had, they'd probably be happy with that being a tie with the Rip City men, who have seemed to have played a lot of single possession offensive sequences that hasn't allowed them to find any rhythm, and Townsville then with the bigger post presence, but also the better perimeter shooting so far.
And we'll finish this half of the commentary off with a final recap on the score. It's 60-31, a 29-point lead. This is Shane Froling with Mike St. Moritz, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. And Shane Froling back at the commentary. Mike St. Moritz not far away. Again, going into the third quarter, we have a scoreline of 60-31. I would expect that Rip City are going to have to change something up in this half. And Townsville would continue on their merry way. I would expect that if Townsville do keep rolling it on, a lot of the bench players to start to get some minutes. And I'll take this opportunity to say hello to the family back home, Jenny, my wife, who I got a text from, clearly saying that her son did not have a charge there, so she must think it was a bit of a flop. But, you know, we often disagree, and I'm usually always right until I get home. So hello to the Frolings at home, including Harry's grandparents, Margaret and Jim, who will be watching this on a live stream. As the next quarter starts, we see Harry Froling, Baker, Wiltshire, Peter Crawford and Jordair Jet. So Townsville still going at them strong versus Tueta, Meal, Hurdle and number 7, who is Walker. Ready to go. So it'll be interesting to see how much energy they have this quarter, and Townsville take it out of bounds. Mike St.
There you go, there you go.
Us.
I was going to say it's Louis Ilton is sitting on 4 fouls, which is why it looks like he's not starting here.
Okay. All right, so Tueta has been taken off guard duties. Neal's controlling the point. Looks like they might be trying to get Tueta some perimeter shots. The bigger Tueta shoots a foul line jumper. Harry Froling with the rebound.
Oh, I thought that it was number 8 was a Tueta, but so there's a big one and a little one. Well, that makes things easier then.
It does. And Baker is called for a foul over the back. Clearly didn't like that. Again, can I fault the guy going for the board? A little bit of contact, maybe you play on with it. That was a tough ask, but did he hold the guy down? Give the referee benefit of the doubt.
A lot of work to do here for Rip City men. I'm not sure how often a QBL side is held to 31 points, certainly not one in the top 8. So Townsville with 60. Yeah, but starts 2 at a time, and I'm going to call him the bigger Tueta, makes 2 from the elbow, and it cuts into the lead here to 27.
Josh Tueta.
Josh. As we look down and we miss the bucket, but Townsville answers.
Yeah, so Josh Tueta is the larger of the two, and seems fairly comfortable around that foul line area. He's challenging Baker at the moment to get a hand up on him, and the trick for Baker is not to leave his feet and have his hand in the air. But as I said, they're obviously looking for the Izzy Tueta to get a few more shots. He comes off those turnout screens and finds his brother in the middle of the key.
Good positive impact early on from Rip City here.
That's a new way of pronouncing Rip City, mate. It's,
sorry, I tried to smash down dinner in between games. Still stuck there.
Thought it might have been one of those clicking languages. As we see Meal give a shot fake, kick it back out to Tueta.
From the jungles of Canada.
There you go.
10 seconds on the shot clock here. Jet gambles. Hurdle keeps the dribble alive, kicks it out.
Tueta had to force that up. See Harry Froling bring it down.
Great
nice
find
kick.
in transition. Off the left hand, Wiltshire finishes.
Yeah, strong after a bump, and the referees let that go, which is a great thing. Jet called for a reach in there. Hurdle's decided he's going to light back up this quarter with 2 aggressive moves early.
Rip can't just afford to just be happy to settle for trading baskets at this point. You know, they're going to have to decide at some point to be able to make a run and lock down on defense and you know, make Townsville work.
Yeah, they got to try something different. You know, I don't know if it's a 1-3-1 zone, a 2-3 zone, or a full court 1-2-2 press. They've got to do something because sitting back here riding the wave ain't going to get it done for them.
Well, if Neil Tweedy was here, he would throw that 1-3-1 out and see what that might give him. But I'm not familiar with the Rip City coach man. Nathan Arusi, am I saying that right? I hope so.
The scoreline 64-37 with 7.5 to go.
Hard show. They cover Wilch off the left hand, high off the glass, can't convert.
Little too forced for my liking there, taking on 2 or 3 players.
Well, Harry blocked the first one, but was out of position to be able to contest the second. And Rip City get a good transition basket that they'd be really happy with. And now needs to really lock in with a stop. Harry works his way to the post, throws it to JB. There's 2 guys that cover him without vision on the ball, and he'll head to the line shooting 2.
Yeah, really, Peter Crawford was really smart in finding Harry, who then drives. And again, great to see the posts working together. You know, the 2 bigs, Harry knew he was going to draw the 2 guys. Sat it up for Justin Baker, who gets fouled, and will go to the line for 2.
Can't convert on the first.
So we have 6 minutes and 48 seconds to go. And the score line is 65-39. Neil pushes the ball up really hard, trying to get some early
time
buckets.
is not on their side, is it? But they can't afford to have turnovers out of their probing transition offense. As Harry takes the trail 3, and Townsville on the counter have the luxury of a big lead, and early threes in transition from good shooters that are open are good shots for them, I would imagine.
Jordan Jack got a piece of that. That was a great block, but unfortunately did come over the back. So he'll wear the foul on that. And we'll see Peter Walker head to the foul line for 2 with a score line at 68-39. And going back to Harry's 3, you could see him taking his little steps, getting ready for that. You knew he was going to shoot that. And the defenders, if you're off him, he's going to knock that down more often than not.
Yeah, well, good shooters get their footwork done early, and you know, it seemed to be in rhythm, and he seemed confident, and it was uncontested.
Yeah, having coached him for a long time, when he misses his foul shots or his threes, it's when he's tipping his head back and he gets off balance, and it'll usually hit the front of the rim. But when he's setting himself up and he's got his legs into it, it's great. As we see, another great pass to Baker in the paint. My problem there is there's no one rebounding when
No,
Baker
there was
shoots
4
it.
Rip guys on the glass and not a single Townsville guy in sight. And out of that, great transition offense from Rip as they convert a layup down the other end.
Yeah, just shouldn't happen. And if I'm coach, I'm ripping my guys. You know, the game's still going. Get on the damn boards.
We talked about it earlier. There's no comfortable lead here in the QBL when good teams are involved.
And we were talking about it earlier in the women's game, talking about Neil, a good child, you know. There's a guard going to the board. She gets, I don't know, 5, 6 offensive boards. And even if she doesn't get it, she wore a couple of fouls, but if she doesn't get it, she could be tapping it to another player. And, you know, as a player, you're going to get yourself 6 to 8 points a game just by smashing the offensive board.
Well, this concept about tagging up really rewards teams who are well conditioned. So teams who are willing to send multiples to the offensive glass and trust their athletic ability to then contain defensive transition are just generating a wealth of possession for themselves. Coach Rod Anderson here, he wants to talk it over as we've had a few transition layups go the other way for Rip City, and they cut the lead to 23. They're still down 45-68 though, with 5:10 left in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's just a bit of sloppiness from Townsville, you know, allowing some easy transition stuff, not attending the boards as we've already discussed, and not seeing the open guy on off. You know, when you drive, penetrate, make them, you see 2 defenders, someone else is going to be open, so find them.
And that's what their success was early on, wasn't it? Is the unselfish hunt for the greatest shot they could find. They were generally uncontested, stuff at the rim, dunks, open threes, obvious foul situations. So Rod will be talking to his troops about looking to find more of those.
Yeah, and there's always that threat of, you know, you've had such a good first half. You come out and go, this thing's done. You know, we can take a cigarette break, and they get you back.
Do they still do cigarette breaks? I mean, in your era, they would have.
Smoko was the call.
That's right. Step outside, have a durry at halftime. But I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, it was even Smoko if you're a non-smoker. And they're always great to have. So, yeah, they're on Smoko break, and I'm sure
Rod looked.
break is over.
I was looking at Rod's time out there, and he looked quite calm and composed, diagramming some stuff up that he wants done. So he's not quite ready to give him a serve. But I imagine if the trend continues, that might be something that he might try. As they feed it to Harry.
Yeah.
Great kick out. Peter Crawford. Oh, it rims out, though. Good look.
Harry and Peter have something there. Harry knows the look for Peter, and he knew on that post feed they isolated. He knew Peter was going to be open on that weak side, so just out for Peter. And being an Olympic shooter, you would go to him every time.
I'm not sure how 8 was left wide open there. They dove the much smaller big in that situation, which perhaps drew the weak side help in for some fake action, and they just couldn't pull it off. Rip. As that ball goes off number 13's hip and out of bounds, so it'll be Townsville's ball on the baseline with 13 seconds left on the shot clock. A few substitutions here. 2 new big men. Well, at least one of them, Jackson Todd, he checks in for his first minutes, and Matty Rees does as well. So Townsville here go with the bigger lineup with Harry, Todd, and Rees in the fourth. Oh, a great fake action as they give it to King and Judo for the layup inside.
Yeah, I think right now Rip City have gone to a drops type defense. They're switching everything and collapsing in the middle, so it is a man, but it's everywhere now. Howie didn't get a travel. There it is.
Oh, he did? He did.
There's a travel. It's a little late.
The length inside of that 2-3 zone that now Townsville is showing with Rees, Froling, and Todd on the baseline is quite impressive. And I assume they'll look to harass the guards with Shoot Hope and Wiltshire. A little bit too cute there from Shoot Hope. Maybe setting. Oh, speaking of too cute, the obvious answer was take the shot.
Yeah, he was clearly should have shot it, but he was on the mindset of Matty getting the ball, but Matty was in shooting zone, so it didn't work. And as you see, Shoot Hope roll his ankle. Oh
yes, he'll need a sub here. He stepped on it the wrong way.
Tripped over a line.
He tripped over. He hasn't said anything. He seems to be running well on offense. I'm always surprised by that. Well, you heard on D, but when it comes to the offensive transition, a miraculous heel.
Yes, that is, and that is a charge right there on Rees for moving on the screen. So again, some consistency from the ref, but I don't think I've ever seen so many charges called.
And here's the stagnation. So D gets an opportunity to get set, and we're going to walk it up, and we're going to mop the floor, and just really seems to impact on the rhythm of the game. And you know what fans come to pay for is to see, you know, that transition stuff and people being aggressive and on the front foot and looking to create those opportunities for numbers advantages. So, but I guess if they're going to be calling them, thankfully they're at least being consistent with the calls. Lance Hurdle takes a fadeaway 3. Jackson Todd with his first rebound. I mean, we played 7 minutes here, and Rip have done an okay job, but as Harry gets another O board and converts, but really the weight of possession means that they're only plus 2 for the quarter. So 7 minutes of really hard work on their behalf has only really minimally impacted on the margin.
Nice move by Hurdle, who misses a shot.
Throws it off the glass. Maybe he's looking for the jam for himself, you know?
Yeah, I think he was intimidated by that big back line, and but he was good enough to come up with the rebound and knocks it out of bounds. I think he's taken a hit too because he's got a bit of a limp there. Yeah,
well, we're playing D, so the test will be, will the limp be there when it's time for transition offense?
Looking like I feel right now as Harry has the ball, searching, looking for that next pass.
Weak action there. Figgy gets it back to Harry. Can't bury the triple. But those big Townsville bodies at the glass, as Harry dragged out number 13, Jackson Todd and Matty Reeves were on the offensive boards, generating an extra possession for their team.
And again, look at the size of that zone, the baseline of that zone.
Just incredible length, isn't it?
It's certainly something to intimidate.
And Jackson is fresh, you know, like he didn't play in that first half. Matty probably didn't play too many minutes in that first half, so you know, we talked about it before. Rip have played a game against Cairns. They had to travel 4+ hours to get here today. Their starters played big minutes, so.
We see Dane Glover come back in, obviously a young lad. He looks like he's all of 15 years of age, but good to see him getting a go. Chudo makes a great pass there. You know, Jackson should have caught that. Well set up play again, the cross-court pass, and I'd like to see Chudo ready to catch and shoot that a bit more.
Well, there have been some games. There's been some games where Keegan has been willing to just let it fly and has been confident, and there's other games where he just wants to get a lot of players involved, and sometimes it's at the detriment of the Heat that his lack of selfishness impacts on their offensive efficiency.
So Harry Froling just gets that foul there, and the referee, you know, call me biased, but that was completely wrong. And he'll take a break.
That's Harry's second, so no foul trouble for Townsville. JB's on 3, as is Jordair, as is Matty Reeves, so completely wrong on that. 3 guys on 3 fouls there for Townsville.
And we have
they're in the bonus.
Minute 53 to go, and the score is 74-46. Like that's 74-47.
I'm not sure that, I mean, I understand the fatigue, but Rip at this point are just falling back and allowing Townsville to use a bunch of clock as they lead by close to 30 points. Is the strategy to limit the damage and not lose by too much, or is it to play great quarter-court defense and force an early turnover from Townsville?
If I'm going with a strategy to not lose by much, I'm walking the ball up, I'm running full 20-second offense, and that'll reduce the margin. So I would not think it's that. It's just they can't compete with the size and athleticism of this team.
Fadeaway three-pointer there. Townsville clean up the glass.
As we see a whole bench except for Jordan Jett on here, and he takes it 1-on-4 to the rim with success.
His ability to step sideways, his core, his athleticism, to be able to go left to right and find his way to the basket unimpeded is just next level in the QBL.
The fact that he's built like a tugboat. And,
doesn't make sense, right?
Pull bigger ships along with him, but yeah.
Lance Hurdle, there he is. We spoke about him in the first half, and he'll have to carry these Rip City men back into the game. He looks like one of the few willing and able offensive threats, you know, as they sit on 50 points here with 45 seconds left in the third quarter.
Score is 76-50 as we see Jordan take another shot.
A bit flat on that elbow jumper there.
Tueta puts up the 3, and again, not the prettiest shot, but
Jordan with that awareness, just throwing it off the younger fella's leg to generate a possession for Townsville.
Yeah, for me, Tueta's best game is getting to the rim and creating nice little dump passes. If he's going to shoot, then he's going to have to knock him down, but you see Jordan walk it down with 15 seconds to go and take the last shot. Score is 76-50.
Matthew White checked in there for his ability to be able to stretch the floor. Rip take the foul. They've got several to give, so it's not a bad foul on their behalf.
To me, that's a soft ball. He's gone. Let him play. That's yeah. Jordan had blown him away. 6 seconds to go. Jordan is definitely going to try and get the shot up here.
Step back 3 off the front of the rim. Figgy off one hand.
Fig with a one-hand rebound, fadeaway 3. It's never going to go, but looks spectacular.
I'm curious to see if the statisticians there will will write it up as a shot attempt on his behalf.
Absolutely. Rebound and shot.
O-board, right hand chuck, miss, end of quarter. Something like that?
Yeah. So for me right now, there's the 26 points down with a score of 76-50. They're going to have to do something spectacular. I don't think
it'll have to be something spectacular because they only made up 3 points out of a significant margin. They were down close to 30. Yeah. They're now down 26.
Yeah, they're not going to have the fuel in the tank, so, you know.
So Shane Froling, you're the coach of the USC RIP men. You're down 26 on the road. You played last night. What do you do?
I'm running it down their throats as quickly as I can, kicking ahead to the open man, and if you've got the shot, take it, because we've got to get some numbers up quick now.
Sure.
On the flip side, defensively, I want to collapse that thing, make them score from the outside.
Right.
Even though Townsville are shooting it reasonably well, it's far better to have them shooting outside than it is with all those big monsters.
So the strategy is protect the glass, get the guys inside, contain dribble penetration, hope that they miss, and then be able to run out of those misses and try to generate enough momentum that you know, you're putting some scoreboard pressure on and force Townsville to then adjust what they're doing.
The other thing I'd be doing is I'd be getting a couple of really high screens up near the centre of the court, bringing what I used to call quicks, bringing the big guys defending that thing right out near the centre line and coming off the on-ball screen. At least you drag one of those bigs well out of the keyway, of course, unless it's a zone.
So trying to negate Townsville's height advantage by spreading the floor and getting them involved in some screening action, which might free up some of these quicker Rip City men guards. Well, as we're about to tip off the fourth quarter here, and it'll be Rip City ball, so it'll be interesting to see what of those strategies they might decide to employ.
Rip City will take the ball out of bounds. Peter Walker with a start again with the Tueta. The older Tueta's been sitting for a while.
Oh, unfortunate. Was that a Tueta or was that a meal?
Izzy Tueta was far too quick on his feet to take that turnout screen, and then the young lad threw it out of bounds thinking Izzy would be there.
And Tueta slipped. They're mopping up at the moment. I'm not sure if it was a wet spot already, but it's an unfortunate way to be able to start the quarter if you're hoping to build momentum if you're a Rip City fan here.
Yeah, it was just a slip on that Global Welding Supplies sticker, and it's a well-placed and well-sponsored sticker if it's creating turnovers for us.
Let's hope no one goes down on the floor and rips it up then.
Could start some trouble.
Well, the locals might not enjoy it, so, or appreciate it. Feel offended.
You see Justin Baker doing some work in the post there. They haven't seen them.
Oh, they're going to throw it up to Harry. He tries to slam it.
Yeah, he's getting a little anxious there on that lob. He's really trying to get a few dunks in there, but you know.
I'm always impressed by the players that are willing to play through the physical aspect to get a ball and throw it down, or you know, get a deflection, get a steal, and not worry about the impact that it might have in a collision. So kudos to Townsville for being that aggressive at this stage of the game.
Nice post by Harrison here.
Oh, he's got a significant size advantage.
Searching, spins, baseline, throws the jump, makes it.
I'm not sure that 7 is going to be able to contain that. They're going to need to send some kind of help to him. He looks about 6'4" to me, and Harry's close to 6'11", probably has about 40 kilo advantage, and it's solid. So
I'm watching him do those turnaround jumpers. He's got time. He has a great touch. You know, he's you know, that's better to watch than some of those dunks. He's probably better off trying to dunk a biscuit in a cup of tea with some of the defenders put in front of him.
Yeah, but he ends up with a high percentage shot. You know, his shoulders are square. He's well above his defender. It'll be interesting to see what they do here. Oh.
But in saying that, Harrison has definitely come back a better athlete.
He's going to get a warning for that. Peter Crawford, who bounced the ball to Maddie Crowley. Sorry to interrupt you there. I was hoping it wasn't going to be a technical, and thankfully, to Maddie's credit, she didn't take it that way. But the initial response seemed to be that PC had bounced the ball to her too hard, so she was going to blow the whistle. So cooler heads prevailed. I'm sorry, you were saying,
Just
Shane.
saying, I joke about Harry and his dunking, but he's come back a better athlete and he's put quite a few of those down and he's trying. And that's all you say to your younger athletes. Get out there. If the shot's open, take it.
Yep.
Get to the boards. If you've got a strong drive or you have an ability, use it.
And if you have a lot of tools, you know, like Harry does, to be able to play over his left shoulder, his right shoulder, his size advantage, his ability to shoot the ball, put it on the deck, find open players. I mean, it just creates time and space for himself and for his teammates.
And it's great to see guys like, you see Harrison, who's all of 20 years of age, and Peter Crawford at almost double his age. They complement each other and work together. There's something there, and it's when you see that, it's a special thing.
I mean, despite the age disparity, you know, PC was a guy that you coached for a long time, and Harry would have been around that environment, and this is not two guys who have just recently met each other. There's a long-standing history between, you know, and connections, so it's good to see that now it translates into in terms of a basketball connection on the floor, as PC is left wide open, and that's never going to work for the opposition.
He was never going to miss that, as we see the scoreline go 83-56.
Oh, PC got a block from behind, but they're going to say they hit him on the head.
That was a clean block, I would say, but...
no, they're going to say on the forearm.
Yep, so the referees clearly see that Rip City are struggling and giving them a little bit.
Or they saw an actual foul and called it. I'm not sure. It could be one of the two.
That could have been.
Oh.
Okay, so we have Justin Baker warned by the referee as well. Jason clearly has been frustrated a few weeks. But the refs are going to have nothing to do with that. Tueta makes the first. 83-57 is the score. 8 minutes to go.
Patient action here from Townsville, and they can afford it. Oh, that guy got hit by a Mack truck.
There's Peter Crawford in that spot again.
Step back three. Shane Heel would have loved that action.
Absolutely. It's that step back is a very, very well practiced shot by Peter.
And there's the oh.
Cool heads. The referees thought there was going to be something there, but both players very calm and collected.
I'm surprised they both walked away from that. Kudos to them. It could have gone from a nothing play to something. Oh.
And we have a technical foul.
So, as we compliment the players for cooler heads, unfortunately we can't say the same thing for the Townsville bench or Rod Anderson, I believe, who picks up the technical foul.
Yeah, there could be a little bit of zero tolerance happening here, seeing that both teams have had a bench tech, but anyway, there you go.
Townsville still with a comfortable lead here. They can probably afford that technical, especially if the opposition is going to miss the free throw. It will give them possession, though, with the opportunity to cut into the lead with 7:24 left here in the fourth quarter.
86-58 being the score. How are we going with our leading scorers, Mike?
Well, at the moment, Harry Froling leads all scorers. He's on 26. Lance Hurdle is up his total to 20 for Rip. The difference really is that Townsville have had a few players that have come along with Harry. JB's on 16, Josh Wilshire's on 13, and PC's on 12. Lance has had a bit of help. Izzy Tueta's on 10, but from 10 shots, and off the bench, the Peter Walker is now on 12 points.
Yeah, it's great to see such a good spread in the Townsville team. There's quite a number of players there with double figures, and again, good to see Harry Froling has had a couple of weeks of playing reasonably dominantly. So that's
well, he certainly his stat line is dominant. He's on 26 points from 17 shots. He's 4 or 7 from 3. He's got 13 boards, 4 assists, a block, and 4 turnovers. So a great stat line. It'd probably put him in contention for a Player of the Week type performance.
As he returns an assist to Jordan Jett, who I thought might have gone up and dunked it, but no, nice little lob, and Jordan finish as well.
Tueta bobbles the ball, and Townsville come up with it. And at this point in the game, there's 6:40 left. Townsville lead by 30. There's a few, well, actually, the Rip City bench is filled with guys in black shirts. Unfortunately, they're playing in white singlets tonight, so it just looks like they don't have enough bodies available to be able to come in for them. So the guys on the floor now are just going to have to get it done, and that is a foul.
How is that not a foul?
That was a foul for about 4 seconds before it was called.
I'd suggest we get some subs here with a 30-point lead, 6 minutes. Here they come. So Harry Froling
He's firing up.
No, he's good. I thought he was going to walk down the other end and shoot, but
no.
It's only 2 fouls for each, and 30-point lead.
Nathan Arusi wants to ask if that was perhaps a jump ball. I suppose it's a jump ball, but if you're going through the other player's body to tie it up, that becomes a problem.
If you're backing under a player, it's not safe either.
Townsville, just looking at their stat line, their biggest lead is currently at 30. They've had 44 points in the paint. 28 of those have come from second chance points. And just that weight of possession has just worn down the Rip City men. They conversely only have 18 in the paint, only 7 second chance points. They've been stuck on less than double figure offensive rebounds. They have 9, which Townsville's doubled up on. They have 18 themselves. So fatigue, talent, travel wariness have all weighed in Townsville's favor tonight.
Yeah, depth is definitely a problem, and I'm sure the coaches are trying to figure out what the heck to do, but these are the opportunities to go, let's go with the young kids and see what sort of experience we can get them.
I do love what I just saw. I saw one referee talking to JB about how the game's being called. I see Kylie Vovoden having a word with Nathan Rusi about how the game is being called. As a coach myself, all we're asking sometimes is around explanations around what the intent is, what the focus is, and certainly receiving some information around clarifying around calls or non-calls, as it might be the case. Oh, they're throwing it up for Harry. So, well, that's interesting.
As long as that conversation, if they want to have that two-way conversation, they give a little. They got to take a little.
Sure,
they got to
sure.
give a little.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
and
I mean,
good,
we want dialogue. We don't want to be. No one wants to be yelled at. Give it to Wilshire in the corner. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Here's Harry down the middle of the lane. Finishes with a right-hand slam. And talks a bit of shit on the way back.
Really good.
The kids must be in bed at this point, so we can probably say that.
Really good shot fake, and he's got that down, And if you don't take it, he could stroke that on you. So very smart play by him.
Harry approaching now 30 points. He's on 28 from 18 shots. As Townsville concedes another 2 points there, but they still lead by 30 with 5:34 left here in the fourth quarter.
I guess he gets to put that Dunker biscuit in a cup of tea comment back in my face too, but that was fairly...
Well, he's really mixed it up, hasn't he? Here he is off the left hand, spin, kicks it out to Wilch. Back inside, Matty Rees.
Great ball movement. Great ball movement by the Heat there. That thing went through 4 sets of hands in 2.5 seconds.
That's right. It never stuck anyone's particular hands. They were all willing to share it, and they found a really good shot inside. Tueta drags it out. 6 on the shot clock. He'll take it over Wiltshire and buries the deep triple. I can see why he's made some NBL rosters.
As we see the scoreline at 92-63. And with this scoreline, I dare say you'll see a couple more subs shortly, and you'll see the likes of Harry Froling and Peter Crawford come out. They've had a fairly good run.
Well, Ethan Betts will come in. He'll check in for his first minutes of action here.
And then, this is an opportunity to play your bench. Those kids never get big minutes, so why not give them some clock?
Oh, and number 4. He's a bench player when he doesn't have a name on the back of his singlet. But kudos to Rip for bringing the young fella up and giving him a go.
Yeah, they've given him a few goes. He's the one that I said, Dane Glover, who looks like he's about 15. So always great.
He must be at least 16. That's the minimum age, I think. So looks like 15, but maybe is 16.
There you go. Always good to look younger than you are.
Well, it's not working for me. So
And he's,
someone offered me a senior discount when I went for see a movie the other day. So
that's
save
right.
me some money.
We've always got wheelchair basketball to fall back to, mate.
As Tueta tries another triple there. Bit of a heat check. He had buried the previous one.
I would think that both Wilshire and Froling would be knowing that that sub will be coming soon, so they're going to get their shots up.
No subs coming for Townsville yet that I can see as Wilshire takes the elbow J.
Yeah,
he's warning him. I'm worried that there's going to be a technical coming up here if they continue to jaw at each other.
Walker against Froling.
Oh,
makes
wow.
a good bucket. Yeah. Took his time.
Peter Walker finally gets one over Harry after about, he's copped about 15 of his own.
There's another one.
Harry knows what's up. Harry knows what's up. But there's no sub coming, so he might get another one off before Rod gets him out of there. As Townsville lead 95-65.
There's the next player I know when I'm up 30 and there's a few minutes to go that I better get some up, and you can see.
Well, if those aren't player of the week numbers, then I'm not sure what is. That gives Harry 31 points. He's got 4 all boards, 14 total, 5 assists, and a block.
And an unsportsmanlike foul, we're seeing walk to the other end, take some buckets. Kept his head, he reacted first, and it's good to see the maturity in Harry. And it'll be really interesting watching him play for Adelaide in the NBL this year, because he's going to have a great coach in Joey Wright and his support crew. And Adelaide's the sort of team that really does a great job in developing players. So hopefully those guys are out there listening, and it's a credit to them picking up the young Australians. They do all over the place.
Yep. And as you said, you said an unsportsmanlike, but they've ruled it a technical foul. So it's a personal foul and a technical foul. So Harry will shoot at least one. Townsville will get possession.
Who got the technical foul? Is that Harry?
No, I don't think so. I think it's, rather than an unsportsmanlike, it was a technical. And that's at least what the referee signaled. So he showed a technical foul, so that'll be 2 free throws plus possession. As Harry adds to his total, he's now on 33.
And there's the sub.
And there's the sub. And that'll be the end of Harry's night. A monster performance from him.
There's a technical foul on Harry.
Oh, it is.
So
right.
he has spun around, thrown the ball at the floor, and the referees, again, forget my biasness, have ridiculously called a technical foul.
Wow.
Now, it's not like he threw it at anyone.
Right.
It's not like he was aggressive. I was just complimenting him on keeping
his cool. That's right. You did say
and then you
that.
get peanuts like this that punish him. Now, we've been good to the refs all night.
Yes,
but
we
that's
have.
ridiculous.
We have. Yep.
That
Well,
is
I missed that. I
ridiculous.
missed the intentional foul call as Lance Hurdle buries a heavily contested fadeaway triple to cut the lead back to 28. But it's all over Red Rover here. Townsville will win tonight. The question will be by how much. As Jared Figg probes and explores inside and kicks it back out to Keegan Chudhope. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Off the ball screen, left hand, gives it to Marty. This is the sloppiest offense we've seen tonight, as Figgy pings it away from 3, but Matty generates the O board. And I suppose that's come to be expected. If you're going to empty the bench, guys who aren't used to playing with each other. Matty Rees banks in the triple. Even the referee is smiling about that one.
Yeah, again, Matty Rees not expecting the bank it, and that'll take the score to 100 to 69. So it's 100 points with 2 minutes 35 to go.
Nathan Arusi wants to talk it over. He just wants to rally his troops and finish on the most positive note that he can. If they're going to be a playoff contender, they need to be able to understand what it takes to play against, a Townsville Heat on the road, to come for the Northern Nightmare and be able to compete on back-to-back occasions with such a limited bench.
Look, for me, if he's delivering any sort of message, it'd be, don't quit. In the final minutes of the game, it's the finer points. You can't let your opposition get offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Not one, not two, but 3 offensive rebounds, and you go, hey guys, keep competing.
Yep.
Do the finer things. Block out. Use the ball. Set good screens. Crash the boards. Giving Townsville bench players 2 and 3 cracks at it shouldn't be happening.
Well, and that's what the players want to be able to hear, is that the coach will take control and give them some structure and reel things in when things feel like they're getting out of control, and something to aim for. So kudos to Nathan for that time out there. Lance Hurdle. Geez, he can shoot it.
100 to 72. Yeah, I don't know why he went to sleep for 2.5 quarters.
Well, they just didn't give him the ball, did they? Like they just froze him out and looked for other players to contribute. And he was a hot hand early, and they probably should have stayed with it, but instead they went away from it, and they're paying the price.
Townsville did a good job shutting him down a little too, but Matty Reese, it's another bank shot. I don't know, that might be
I thought
new...
they closed the bank. I thought the bank on Flinders Street was done and dusted, but Matty Reese wants to bring it back.
Well, he's at the money bank, mate, not the nightclub
Oh,
bank.
sorry, wrong bank.
Yeah.
My apologies.
As we see Betts score his first points for the night.
It's great to see the Townsville starters get up for the bench players as much as they receive it when they're on the court, as Hurdle misses the fadeaway on that occasion. Things certainly are getting a bit sloppy here. A lot of poor containment and
Fig with a giant
shots.
floater, absolutely monster floater, drops it in nicely for the little fella.
Impressive performance for Townsville. They're up 106-72. They'll get the win here off the back of a tough loss in Mackay last week. Referee calls a foul.
And we've got a score line of 106 to 72 with 1:05 to go. Both teams had 4 fouls. As we see White sub in for Hope. And we are deep into bench territory now.
Ron Anderson insists on having to go at Matty, and Brad Can is holding him back.
Well, Rod's got to be careful, you start doing that stuff in these sort of games and you get a reputation.
He's up by 34 points. Just, enjoy the win.
Yeah.
I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to protect his players and have them understand that he backs them unconditionally. But in the context of where the game is at, Rod, you wrap this up. Enjoy the win.
Yeah, exactly. Just chill, smile at him and say, hey, you're wrong, and smile. Don't make it a big issue. So with 1 minute to go, we're looking at a score of 106 to 73. Looking at that shooting action, I dare say it'll go to 74. Again, the Moz has worked, and I've put him way off. It's half the reason I do that.
But they got the offensive rebound, though, so it sort of worked against us.
Yes.
What a luxury of having a Jackson Todd as your 9th guy.
Bet should take this strong. Bigs. Does, unfortunately misses.
Can't convert. Oh, but he gets the steal, though. Had a read on.
Yeah. Nice little flip pass there to Jackson, who
good sportsmanship there
fouled.
from Walker to extend the high five, to tell him there was no intent. And Jackson, a very level-headed player himself, understands the context.
That's featuring one of the cooler hairstyles in the league. Loves that little flick over into his eyes there.
I'm a bit jealous. Wish I had that kind of hair game myself.
And again, you look at some of the locals in this place, Matt Reese being a veteran local. You look at Fig and Betts, who are juniors from, I can remember them in under-14s, achieving great things.
I think you took them to under-14 club championships, if I'm not mistaken.
Much like today's kids did. So, the kids who won today have a good chance at doing what they've done. And Jackson just throws Michael out of court. Unfortunately,
he may have sold that
one.
He may have sold that one. That looked more WWE than actual contact. But the referee saw it differently. He flew about 15 feet in the air.
Yeah, Jackson's a fairly tough fella, mate.
Well, he plays for one of the great local clubs, Black Stars basketball, I believe.
Yeah, there are. Have you ever seen a Black Star?
I haven't, no.
Okay.
I think you get sucked into them and you disappear forever.
Okay. That certainly happened to our family. We've been there for 23 years.
Jackson, who's actually a 5-time MVP, if I'm not mistaken, of the championship division men for Black Stars. But anyhow, 18 seconds left on the clock as Townsville look to wrap this one up. They're up 106-78, and Jackson Todd completes the looking like 30-point victory here, unless Rip can answer with some kind of basket. And Walker will try. Look good off the hand.
Finishes with a big rebound, and Townsville finish up with a 30-point victory. I will give credit to the Rip. They might have been undermanned and not doing great, but they keep going. They absolutely keep going, and their skill was down a little, and but they fight.
Yeah, and you know, like we spoke about it early on, we identified this size disparity between the two teams, and the stats reflect that. Townsville doubled up. Rip City men, they had 20 O-boards to Rip's 10. They shot the ball incredibly well, 56 from the field, 40% from 3 on 30 shots. And with those types of numbers, without turning the ball over, you'd have to play a pretty darn good ball game on the other side. And Rip on the back of their loss to Cairns just wasn't able to back it up. So the result is Townsville wins 108-78 against Rip.
Yeah, and some really good performances out there by a number of Townsville players. Obviously, Harrison Froling dominating the game, and great to see, and obviously makes us as a family proud. But backing him up, Baker, Wilshire, Jordan Jett, and just the wisdom of Peter Crawford is phenomenal. So you'll probably have better numbers on them than me.
Well, we had 5 starters for Townsville in double figures. You know, like Harry dominated with 33 points, but ably assisted Justin Baker, 16, Josh Wilshire, 13, PC with 12, Jordare with 11, and, you know, a range of contributors off the bench. Only Brendan McCulley, who, like I mentioned, has been away on coaching duties, was the only player not to score, but they got how many bench points? 23 bench points, which has really helped those starter numbers, and that eventuated in this lead and margin of 30-point victory.
Well, Brendan, you know, Brendan's got a lot to live up to. You know, between he and his wife, he's probably won 2 championships, or is it just the one between the two of them?
Rachel won 2. So
Okay,
Rachel won 2.
So between the two of them, they've won 2 championships.
Well,
so
I mean, can we count his QBL championship last year?
we could.
We could count his, and he's been around long enough that maybe he was part of another one way back when, given how many games he's played. But
all right, well, I think I've talked enough. So from Shane Froling, that's it. And Mike St. Moritz, obviously coming back from a fantastic junior national championship. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and everyone out there listening in Radio Land. I believe the team's away next week.
we are away. We're away on the road. We play Gladstone on Saturday and then Rockhampton on Sunday. But we're then back here at the Furnace against the Brisbane Capitals the following week. So we hope you'll join us then.
And it'll be TV Land, not Radio Land. So see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.